back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to dyno the Cressida. When I sorted out getting the Cressida dynoed, I don't actually have any footage of it on the dyno as such because of the whole corona thing. They wouldn't let me go and hang out with them throughout the day. They were a bit skeptical of it, so I just set it up there. They'd had it for about a week or so and they got onto it when they could. So in this episode we're going to prep the car for dyno, and then I'll tell you what it made at the wheels and all that stuff. So I hope you enjoy this one. It's not overly exciting. It's a little hard at the moment to do stuff. I can't race the car. All the tracks are closed and that. So I don't know. We'll just do this and then get it ready because there's a few things we have to sort out now, which I'll run you through. But besides that, it's good. Cargo is good. Let's roll this episode. Just been getting the LS ready for the dyno. Quick oil change. Discovered the thermostat housing is leaking just a little bit. I have got an O-ring from it from the VRS kit, so we'll just do that while it's here. I'll show you the leak. There's the thermostat housing. You can see it's got a little bit of green. This fitting here was also leaking. So sorted that out, but we've got to fix that. So, nitrous in the car. We've just got the blanket on, testing it, seeing how it goes. It's getting hot, bringing up the pressure. We're just going to purge the system, see if it all works. Oh, holy shit! Whoops! Just putting some fuel in the car, getting it ready for the dyno sesh. Nothing worse than running out. Also, just going to give it a wash and a vacuum because it was pretty grubby from spending 2 years in my garage. Here she goes. Off to the dyno tomorrow. Hopefully it all holds together. And it starts in the morning. The battery was a bit flat, so my charger's at work unfortunately, but there it is. I've had the car dynoed. It makes a good 330 kilowatt at the rear wheels, over 1,000 newton meters of torque as well. It's crazy. I wasn't expecting that torque figure with the nitrous. So in horsepower terms, that's about 450 horsepower at the wheels. But for all the 13-year-olds out there, that's 600 horsepower on a street tune with my face blurred, okay? So we've had it all done. It's all been finished, but there's a few issues with the car that we have come with. At the traffic lights, the temperature creeps up a bit. It gets a little bit hot. The fans just aren't good enough. So I've gone and got some new fans for it. They're off a Ford Cougar. It was a bit of a hunt to find something that fits the VL radiator and also fits inside the Cressida. There's not an awful lot of space. Besides that, we've also had to get an RPM window switch to allow the nitrous not to come on too early or too late, so we don't want to valve bounce it with nitrous, blow up the manifold and all that. We weren't actually allowed to film the tune-up because of the whole COVID thing, so they're like, oh, you know, just drop it off and get onto it when we can, so we did that. Besides that, it survived the dyno, which is good. Shifts all nice. We drove it back a good, hour. So besides sitting at the lights, goes fine. Once all the tracks reopen, we'll be able to race it, but until then, we'll put the bits and pieces just to spruce it up a little bit. I couldn't get the tacho working properly, the standard tacho, different pulse than what the ECU comes out with. It's all a bit crazy, so we're going to use the RPM module thing, I think. I'll show you all that in a sec. But besides that, it survived, and that's the main thing, and it made good power. When we actually drove it back as well, the rear end in it is just crazy. Like, if you accelerate, it just wants to rip itself out of there. So I'm probably going to make some Nolthane bushes and make like a more stout rear end. The bars on it are like, you know, that thin. So they will probably bend as they do on VLs. The bottom arms can bend. So we'll make up some new arms, get it all strengthened back there, put maybe some 90-10 shocks in it, like some drag racing shocks, and then we'll go from there. But besides that, I'm happy about it. So let's get on with this part. So we found some fans that fit. These are 2001 Ford Cougar fans. If you don't know what that car is, it's a strange looking car. I think it's kind of rare in Australia, at least. I hardly ever see them. But these fans seem to fit this radiator very well. The VL radiator is kind of small. We bought some BA fans as well, Falcon. If these don't work and I mess them up, we got them. We bought both because they're nice and cheap. My brother paid for them, which is nice. So I'm going to flip them upside down, I think, to give us the most space up here for the snout of the water pump. But this way, which is the correct way, probably fits on the radiator better. So might have a little bit of a play around, and I'm going to make an aluminium shield thing. So let's sort this out first. Fans are barbarically hacked up, as you can see. It does fit quite nice though. Got to watch out for these little spouties for the transcooler, which we're not using, but if I cut them off, I'm worried I'll have a leak from a bit of water there. So that's going to go on like this. For this little gap here between them, probably doesn't matter, but I have got this like foam stuff that is used for sealing this kind of thing. So we'll seal this guy up, no sweat. I'm going to build an aluminium bracket off the top, which will bolt onto the frame, or onto the cowl of this, so it'll have some bolts that'll hold this top part. And as for the bottom, I'm going to use like what we used to hold the other fans on, just to stop it swaying. So the top will be plenty strong, and then the bottom will have like those fan mounts just along the bottom. Then it'll run some wires, obviously, but it's getting there. This is also like an old school fan relay thing that it used to have. We're gonna do away with that, and then I'll just put in. So this is the fan bracket thing I was trying to make. Turns out it's very hard to bend this sort of thick material by hand without using a press brake or a bender, so I failed and made just 2 little tabs. Just jacking the sucker up. The fan's a little bit of a squeeze, so we may have to come from underneath, feed the fan in. I don't know yet. Either way, we're taking this off, and we'll sort it off. Got the sweet removable front. Get these El Craparuski fans out and put in the new bad boys. So we had to take the radiator the whole way out. Had to trim here for the intake. Had to trim where the snout comes from. It's a very tight fit. We're just bolting it in now, and then we'll see how it goes. Bit of a nightmare, to be honest, but we're getting there. Nice. So we're just going to wire in this MSD nitrous window switch so we can set when we want the gas to turn on and off, so it don't blow up manifold when we're trying to stage. So it's 5 wires, power earth, the switching wire, and the RPM signal. And the 5th one is like normally closed or normally open, depending on what you want to use. So let's pop this in now and continue with the build. Here it is wired up. I've left it on a pretty long cord, so when I'm not using it, I can just tuck it in. This is set as it does, so it'll switch on at 3,500 RPM, off at 6,000 or whatever. Set it for 8 cylinders. In the manual it says set it for an LS1, as you can see there. Set it as 1 cylinder, but tried that, didn't work. So I've set it as an 8. I don't know if other LS is different, but this one needed that. Maybe because I went off the tack output, not the actual spark plug, but that's that. It works. I've tried it out. It's pretty cool. I'll just fire up the car. So it says your RPM. And then that's it. Off it goes. Alright, addressing the shock absorber situation in the Cressida. Like, that one's pretty how you going. It's a stud on the top, bush on the bottom, right? So I've hunted the internet for a size like this. I wanted to get like a decent shock, like a drag racy sort of shock. Couldn't find any in this exact size except for this one here. Only problem we have is the top is a bush and the bottom is this weird shape bush thing. So we've got to make adapters to fit that. What I've already made is one of these, which will sit on here. It's extremely hot, just finished welding the stud on. And it'll take the bolt, which is one that it comes with, one side smaller than the other. It's in there like this. Go through the shackle bit into there like that. So that'll be that part. This bit will just bolt straight into the car. I'm going to put a big washer there so it'll sandwich up into the original mounting position, and then just put him in and bolt it. I'm going to put a gusset across here so don't freak, but that's what I'm doing. So is it touchable yet? It is. So they'll go on like this. And then go through like that, and the nut there, and that'll bolt in the car like this. Personally, I think that looks pretty nifty, but it'll do the job, I'm hoping, and a bit of gusset here. So I just made a mount that fits this, so it will bolt into the top of the body, onto the chassis, but turns out this is the wrong side. I had to make a mount for this side because this is the way the shock goes in the car. I had mounted it so it was upside down, which I don't think you can run with this shock. So I'm going to make a mount for this. So what I've done is made up these little feet, machined up a little spigot like this, which will take a stud, which will replicate the top of that shock there, this stud part, and that'll sit through the floor or through the back of the car or whatever. I just turn these up quickly on the lathe, and they will weld into this piece of pipe, sort of like this, weld them around, and then they will weld onto the feet, and then it'll kind of be compact up there. So we'll do that because I don't think you can mount these upside down. That's my two little robot feet by the looks of them. Now I have to square these in, weld them in, and then we can bolt them in. Thanks for watching this episode, guys. That's all we got time for this time. It was a bit scattered. All my footage was from here and there. It was like going back in time, coming forward in time. It was a bit like Avengers Endgame, all muddled up and hard to explain. But we got there in the end. So I hope you like this one. The next one, we're going to have a look at this truck. We're also going to print out a gauge pod thing for the Cressida, which is good, and then hopefully we can race it. My racetrack currently, they're relaying it and all that, so whether or not we get to use it this year, the track, I'm not sure. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, thanks for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.